Protecting Hoosiers, carrying out justice, and enforcing the law at the state's highest level. Attorney General Todd Rokita hopes for 4 more years in office.
We're taking this office in an aggressive direction.
But his Democratic opponent, Destiny Wells, is hoping to make a change.
People aren't tired, they're worn out, they just want to get back to business.
2 candidates hoping to take the office go head-to-head on our debate stage. Right now on a special edition of In Focus, the Attorney General debate.
Thanks so much for joining us. We'll take a look at some of this week's top stories here coming up. But up first today, a debate in the race for Attorney General. I'm Dan Spieler. I'll be your moderator. Today we're hosting the Republican and Democratic candidates for Attorney General right here in our studio. So before we begin, let's review the rules. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to answer a question that's directed toward them. If a follow-up or rebuttal is needed, the candidate will get 30 seconds to respond. Another 15 seconds if a clarification is needed. And when the time is up, you'll hear the sound of a bell like this. So with that, we want to welcome both of our candidates here today, Destiny Wells and Todd Rokita. Thank you for being here. With the rules set, let's begin the debate now with our first question. It's a question from a viewer, of which we'll have several today. Annie Garvey from Indianapolis asks about what role the AG should play. She asks, in your own words, help the voters of Indiana understand the role of Attorney General and what your priority would be on day one. Mr. Rokita, I'll start with you. 60 seconds here.
Yeah, Dan, thanks for having us, and thanks to your viewers for your interest. You know, I love the state. I love the people of the state. The role of the Attorney General should be one of protector. And that's what we've done since day one, like protecting our jobs and our economy from bad ideas that come from Washington, D.C., like the Green New Deal that does nothing but jack up our electric prices, or the open border that we have that's causing us to have increased fentanyl, actually killing us, and sex trafficking with our little kids. You know, we have a 94% success rate in our office for keeping criminals behind bars, and that's what protection means. We got $1 billion from corporate wrongdoers in 3 years. That's a state record because they hurt us, they hurt our families. And we also are going after bad companies who are putting dangerous chemicals in our environment, and they're hurting us. I ask everyone to join our movement, to join the fight, and I ask for your vote.
Ms. Wells, same question to you in 60 seconds. What role should the Attorney General play?
Well, thanks for having me, Dan. Good to be here, Todd. My name's Destiny Wells, and since I was 19, I have been serving not just my country, but the state of Indiana. I enlisted very quickly into the Indiana Army National Guard after 9/11. And I still do that today. 21 years later, I'm a lieutenant colonel, and I command a unit of troops. And I also have deployed to Afghanistan, and it was that time for me where I decided uniform would not be enough. I needed to actually get into governance to affect policy. So I came back home and became a deputy attorney general under Curtis Hill. But with my leadership experience that I had, I saw that leadership was lacking. We need better leadership in the office. I want to start doing things like making sure Hoosiers have medical privacy, that we're looking at workers, and we're bringing integrity and back to how we serve Hoosiers.
Mr. Rokita, you've faced a disciplinary probe from the Indiana Supreme Court for some of your comments about an OBGYN from Indiana. Let's go back to the comment here that started this.
Then we have this abortion activist acting as a doctor with a history of failing to report.
So that was back in 2022. It's still possible your law license could be in jeopardy as a result of some of these investigations. What happens if your license is suspended and you can't continue as Attorney General? 60 seconds.
I don't think my law license can be suspended here. I mean, we're talking about something that happened 2 years ago. We're talking about 16 words. And let me tell you something. It was a horrific thing to hear a 10-year-old and what happened to her. It is absolutely horrible. And we were all shocked. And I was even more angry and shocked that a medical doctor for political gain would go to the Indianapolis Star with this little girl's story, divulging her confidences, divulging her identity. And she did that because 24 hours later, the news media was at that little girl's doorstep asking about it. That's wrong. And the medical licensing board agreed with me and fined her that doctor the maximum amount. So it was ill-timed. I agreed with the Supreme Court, but nothing I said was untrue. And that's the reputation I have with the people of Indiana. I'm always direct, I always tell them the truth.
Follow-up question here on that: as you look back on all of this, would you change anything about how you handled the situation? 30 seconds.
You know, being human, I don't know that I could. It was so horrific. But the fact that, and I would never change the fact of what I said, because everything I said was absolutely true.
Ms. Wells, I want to get your response to this, but also as Attorney General, you would be tasked with representing the state and defending its laws in court. How would you approach that role when it comes to laws you'd rather not defend, and what would your approach be on abortion law specifically? 60 seconds to you.
Right. Well, I know what the abortion law is, and I know my responsibility as the Attorney General. I do know, though, what I won't do. I will not abuse my authority so that I go after doctors and scare them away from the state of Indiana. We are third in the nation for maternal mortality. We have healthcare deserts where women cannot get to the doctor in time, who are having pregnancy complications. In fact, just like the doctor said that would happen with the fallout of SB1, we have seen a woman die just of last year because she could not get to medical care in time. Now, I've heard Mr. Rokita talk about his ethics complaints, but let's be honest, it's not just one complaint that has been filed against him and that he has a conditional agreement with the court. It's a second, it's a third. I'm hearing a fourth was just filed last week, and to be determined by the court if they move forward with it, the commission, and then maybe a possible fifth by a member of the media community.
Yeah.
And so we have a tendency with Todd Rokita to keep getting in trouble.
Past
30 seconds here for a rebuttal.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So Destiny, never being in the private sector, is an officer of the Democratic Party. This is the same party that a few years ago gave an award, literally gave an award for Democrat Activist of the Year to the same person that is filing these complaints. And then dutifully, it seems, that he runs out to the press to say, I filed a complaint. I mean, it's a complete weaponization and politicization of a judicial institution. They ought to be ashamed of themselves, making a mockery of the Indiana Supreme Court like they are.
Ms. Wells, 30 seconds rebuttal if you wish, and then we've got to move on.
I would say that the Supreme Court said that that first complaint was founded, that you did in fact violate the rules.
No, I agreed with the Supreme Court to settle the matter so we can stop it from being a distraction. That's what that was about.
Okay. We need to move on. We've got some other topics to get to in a short amount of time. Ms. Wells, a question here from Jasmine Hulse in Indianapolis, who points to some of your engagement with the public on social media. She called some of your posts aggressive in her view and asked if you plan to continue that style of communicating as Attorney General. 60 seconds to you on this. How would you carry yourself and interact with the public as AG?
Yeah, you know, hey, I've grown up in an industry where I usually was the only woman in the room. And I think that the times have called for women to be more confident in how they carry themselves, and especially into elected office. If you look at the ticket across from us, the Republican ticket, there's not one woman on the statewide ticket. And so, yes, I will continue to fight for Hoosiers. I will continue to be aggressive. And, you know, if that's the question for me, I would say look at our current Attorney General. He's so aggressive that he can't keep himself within the limits of our rules of professional conduct. Taxpayers are having to pay over $100,000 just to defend him in front of the disciplinary commission.
Mr. Rokita, we do have a similar question for you on this topic. We touched on some of your comments about abortion already. You've also faced criticism from medical experts for questioning the state's COVID reporting, and just this past week shared a potentially misleading claim about FEMA funding and immigration. Our question here, as a state official and an agent of the law, what do you feel is your responsibility when it comes to sharing accurate information with the public? 60 seconds.
To share accurate information like I do. We did a 34-page report on the misrepresentations of the COVID data that came out from the Holcomb administration 2 years earlier. 145,000 or so death records. We looked at them and we found misrepresented causes of death in many of them. And that's exactly what this report details in 34 pages. There's nothing misleading about that. That's about exposing problems, even within my own party. So I'm very bipartisan when it comes to that. It's important to have an independent Attorney General, and I've been that at every step of the way with the people of Indiana.
Ms. Wells, 30 seconds to you on this as well, if you'd like a rebuttal.
Yeah, you know, I've had 20 years of experience in the intelligence community. Misinformation and disinformation is such a threat to the vitality and security of this nation. And so I would say, you know, just this past week, Mr. Rokita, he repeated misinformation about FEMA, and he did so in a public way. He's part of the problem, not part of the solution.
It's called free speech, Dan, is what it's called. And especially when it's accurate, it needs to be protected. And what I said about FEMA is, first of all, the fella who runs FEMA said it himself. And I mentioned that and said, you know, it's a misapplication of priority.
They mentioned perhaps those coming from different funding streams.
It doesn't matter the funding stream, because you can move the funding around. The point is priority. They are putting illegal aliens in hotels, giving them cell phones, and giving them meals. They are putting illegal aliens. She's I appreciate her military work, but she's also a foot soldier in the Kamala Harris left-wing army.
Briefly,
okay?
30 seconds for a rebuttal if you'd like.
They are putting illegal aliens above Hoosiers, and that's what she'll do as Attorney General.
Ms. Wells, 30 seconds here, and then we've got to take a break.
Well, I would say that my life illustrates that I've always put country first, and that includes country before party. When it comes to immigration, again, I hate to beat the same drum, Todd, but it is a national security concern.
There's nothing you can do as Attorney General?
Immigration makes us strong, but it's also something. There's something that you didn't do. There's something that you didn't do as Attorney General. When you were May I finish, Dan? Dan, may I finish?
I
know for a fact.
I thought it was 30 seconds.
I know, but you've been interrupting, Todd. I know for a fact that labor leaders have come to you and they have talked to you about the problem with immigration and undocumented migrants taking their jobs, and that you have refused.
That's why they've endorsed me.
And we will get into some of these topics here coming up. We do have to take a break. A lot to discuss here. Thank you to you both. We do have to take a quick break, but we'll be back with much more in our debate with the candidates for Attorney General.
What does it mean to be Weather Rate certified?
It means the weather that Central Indiana gets
Rain chances, severe weather watches, tornado warnings
is the weather that we forecast.
And our forecasts are certified most accurate in the city.
An accurate forecast makes all the difference in keeping you and your family out of harm's way. So why would you trust anyone but the most accurate to get it right? Trust the real leader, the Weather Authority.
The Blue Zone is your source for all things Colts. Our sports experts get you inside all the action and make sure you're ready before each kickoff. Watch Blue Zone on CBS 4.
I was injured in a serious accident.
I couldn't afford second best.
Remember the name Keller & Keller, a law firm that has been rated 5 stars year after year.
Keller & Keller. Everyone I know told me they're the best.
I would give them a lot of stars.
More than a 5-star rating.
If I could, I'd give them 6.
They are absolutely outstanding.
Call a tough, experienced law firm that may be able to get you more for your injury. Call 1-800-2-KELLER. Keller & Keller. Right now.
Students who can read by the end of 3rd grade are 35% more likely to graduate. I'm Dr. Katie Jenner, Indiana Secretary of Education, here to tell you how reading 30 minutes per day can improve the trajectory of a child's life. Whether you're reading with your child or they are reading independently, this is one of the most important things you can do to help them succeed. So this school year, please encourage your child to continue reading. It's a small habit that makes a big difference.
Mr. Shop, I know the reward, it's not much.
I'm gonna help you.
Hey, Coulter, we have a job for you.
Send me the info.
If there were any one of us out there, he wouldn't hesitate.
I'm gonna do everything I can. I'm here to help.
Thank you.
A new season of Tracker starts CBS tonight after 60 Minutes and streaming on Paramount+.
Northern Indiana, the South Bend Elkhart region where tradition and history is meeting its destiny. What's driving growth, how the arts and music are making noise, and how manufacturing continues to be its bread and butter.
Welcome back to a special edition of In Focus as we're here for a one-on-one debate with the candidates for Attorney General. A lot to get to here with just a few minutes left to go. Our next question does concern the topic of immigration. Ms. Wells, your opponent has said before that he considers Indiana a border state, and he's made several trips there to the southern border. Our question, what role do you believe Indiana should play in the conversation over immigration? 60 seconds.
Yeah, so to pick up where I left off, immigration is a national security issue, and we need to be focusing on having a safe and also prosperous state. However, what the Indiana Attorney General's job is not to be using taxpayer dollars to go to the border, and then not just go to the border, but hit a political rally on the way home. We need to stop preying upon people's fears. It takes a steady hand and a holistic approach for immigration, not making people scared of their neighbors. We need a level-headed person who understands that from the state diplomatic level, city to state diplomacy, that we need to engage immigration in coordination with the federal government, who is in charge of immigration policy.
Mr. Rokita, going forward, how do you plan to use your office to handle issues of immigration? 60 seconds.
Look, Dan, you know, I've got 4 jury trials under my belt that I've done myself, okay? We do thousands of trials and criminal appeals and civil appeals every year. Destiny, what you can't do is just go into court and throw a fit. You have to go into court with facts. So I went down to the border and I gathered facts. I gathered them with other attorneys general. And yes, we became the first non-border state in the nation to file a lawsuit. We filed several of them. Because when you don't have a border, when you don't enforce the border, as Kamala Harris and Destiny don't want to do, every state is a border state. And you see it in the increased crime, the fentanyl abuse. Ask any cop on the street what's going on. The sex trafficking. Our most precious gift from God, our children, are being trafficked. It's ridiculous because Biden and Harris put in 47 executive orders telling the Border Patrol, and this is what I found out when I went down there, to stand down. All they have to do is rescind those executive orders, execute federal law, we'd be fine. But if they don't, we're not going to sit back as a state. We're going to act.
Quickly, 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the Attorney General is framing that I would throw a fit in court. Never done so. I would say I do have some experience. Yes, in fact, I was going to say, Mr. Rokita, is that my first time practicing law was the most informative for me. I put out my own shingle in my hometown of Martinsville, Indiana, and I got to learn the issues that challenge our everyday Hoosiers,
just like
including trafficking and including immigration issues, but also including a bevy of others that, if you would allow me, maybe I can touch upon later.
We've got a couple more questions we want to get to here, including a topic relating to social media safety. Mr. Rokita, your administration has spoken out against platforms like TikTok, which you've said can host harmful materials. The campaign also faced resistance from Hoosiers, though, who said they just want to use the platform and be able to use it. Our question, how do you balance that safety concern with someone's personal freedom to use an app? 60 seconds.
Well, thank you. In the case of TikTok, it's easy. This is a platform by the Chinese Communist government, and it should be dismissed altogether. I encourage your viewers, get rid of TikTok. They're data mining you if you're an adult, and they're corrupting your kids. Within 30 seconds of a child signing up for TikTok, they'll learn how to pole dance. They'll be subjected to ads for alcohol and drugs. Now in China, TikTok's illegal for kids, and you can only use it 20 minutes a day otherwise. Here they're pushing on us, and it's a way to destroy us. It's our evidence in the case that's just been reinstated suggests that we have very strong evidence on the points I just made. Stop using TikTok, please.
Ms. Wells, how would you approach the state's oversight of social media platforms as Attorney General? 60 seconds to you on this.
Well, I would reevaluate the litigation that Attorney General Todd Rokita has entered us into, because I would say it drains our resources. But, you know, it doesn't drain his resources, because if you look at some of this litigation, we see that out-of-state plaintiffs' attorneys are representing the state of Indiana, not Hoosier attorneys. And in fact, they've paid over $100,000 to the campaign fund of Todd Rokita. So if we're going to deal with social media platforms, my priority would actually be to do it in the court of Indiana and put it in front of a Hoosier jury.
We're in 2 courts in
Mr.
Indiana.
Rokita, 30 seconds.
Yeah, thanks. We're in 2 courts in Indiana. What you want to do to win if you really want to win a case, is you get the best talent. Sometimes Indiana attorneys have conflicts. They can't possibly take the case. Sometimes there's attorneys across the nation that specialize in this type of work, and that's what we use every time. We have a great winning record. Again, 94% success rate. No law firm anywhere has that kind of success rate, but your Indiana Attorney General does.
30 seconds that we got to move on.
I would say if we have to go out of state to find the best talent, we should probably start back at your office and note that the best talent has actually left the office. I worked there in 2020, not one single deputy attorney general.
The people who work for very little salary.
I believe you just said that they were not good enough to handle the litigation.
No, I didn't say that. That's what
I've actually been a deputy attorney general, so I don't think I would talk down about their work.
All right, and you quit because you didn't get enough pay.
We need to move to a couple more questions
because they don't care about
Ms. Wells,
pay.
30 seconds to respond, and then we move on.
I quit because I didn't get enough pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you read the letter, Todd?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I had a child, and I looked at my child while I rocked him to sleep, and I thought, you know what? We should not be having this pay that is subject to veteran pay disparities. And you know, when you saw my letter when I quit, it was because of a veteran pay gap.
Okay, quickly here, a question that might be a hard turn after all of this. A question that came from Brad and Lawrence, excuse me. Brad and Lawrence asked, in the spirit of encouraging more civil campaigns, will you say something nice about your opponent? Mr. Rokita, I'll start with you.
She's a fighter.
Ms. Wells.
He stays in it for the long haul.
All right, now it's time for our closing statements, Ms. Wells. 30 seconds to you. You're up first for closing statements.
It is my privilege and my honor to be here. I want to make sure that we are restoring integrity to the Indiana Attorney General's office. We're getting away from one-party rule, and we're being level-headed. I want a Hoosier taxpayer to be able to walk into the Indiana Attorney General's office and not know if it is a Republican-led office or a Democratic-led office. They will just know that they are great attorneys that are protecting their interests.
Mr. Rokita, 30 seconds.
You know, when Hoosiers walk into our office, and I know that they do, I see them all the time, I want them to know that they got someone in their corner. I want them to know they got a fighter, not a foot soldier for Kamala Harris. And that's what, when you have Todd Rokita in office, you have a fighter. I love this state. I love the people of this state. I work to protect you every day. We've been through some of the stats, 94% success rate, $1 billion, a record $1 billion from corporate wrongdoers, and then going after companies who left dangerous chemicals in our soil and that are hurting us. I ask you to join us. I ask for your vote. Let's keep Indiana moving forward.
All right, our thanks to you both for being here today. We appreciate a lot to get to in a short amount of time. We'll have much more on our website and more to come on this week's top stories after this.